The observation deck of research station Kepler 442 hummed with the steady rhythm of life support systems. Dr. Orla Chen pressed her palm against the reinforced polymer window, watching the twin moons cast silver shadows across the alien forest below. 3 years into humanity's first exobiology mission beyond the heliopause, and she still hadn't grown tired of the view. "Another specimen incoming," Daniel's voice crackled through her comm implant. "Looks like a juvenile apex predator, maybe 8 kilos, permission to engage non-lethal deterrence." Orla smiled. Daniel Martinez, her security liaison, saw threats in everything. To be fair, on a planet where the local megafauna could punch through steel plating, his paranoia had saved their lives more than once. "Negative," Orla replied. "I'm coming down. Patch the external feeds to my HUD." "Orla, that's the 3rd one this week." "Which means they're curious, not aggressive. Curiosity I can work with." She made her way through the station's narrow corridors, past the hydroponic bays and the quantum processor core, until she reached the airlock. Daniel was already there, checking his pulse rifle's charge levels. His dark eyes fixed on her with that expression she'd come to recognize, half exasperation, half reluctant admiration. "You know the regulations," he said. "No solo contact with unclassified megafauna." "Then stop being difficult and come with me." Orla tapped the release sequence on the airlock. "Besides, you owe me for that poker game." Daniel muttered something in Spanish that her translator implant wisely chose not to interpret, but he followed her through the airlock, rifle lowered but ready. The atmosphere of Kepler 442b was breathable, though the oxygen content ran higher than Earth standard. Every breath felt like drinking energy. The forest surrounding their station stood in shades of deep violet and burgundy, photosynthetic pigments adapted to the orange dwarf star that warmed this world. Orla's heads-up display painted the terrain in layers of data: atmospheric composition, radiation levels, seismic activity. And there, 40 meters northeast, a heat signature roughly the size of a large dog. "Got it," Daniel whispered. "Quadrupedal, significant jaw musculature, claws extended, definitely hunting mode." The creature they designated Predator juvenilis was, by all biological assessments, designed to kill. 6 eyes arranged in a forward-facing cluster for exceptional depth perception. Retractable claws tipped with a keratin carbide composite that could score titanium. Muscle density that put Earth predators to shame. It was also, Orla had theorized, potentially one of the most intelligent non-sapient species humanity had ever encountered. She walked slowly into the clearing, making herself visible. The thermal signature on her HUD shifted. The cub had stopped moving. "It's watching you," Daniel said from his position behind a stand of fern-like vegetation. "Heart rate elevated. It thinks you're prey." "Or it's excited," Orla countered. She knelt down, making herself smaller, less threatening. "Hey there, little one, I see you." The cub remained motionless. Its camouflage was remarkable. Adaptive chromatophores shifted its hide to match the violet underbrush. If not for the thermal imaging, it would have been nearly invisible. Orla turned her back on it. Daniel's sharp intake of breath hissed through the comm. "What are you?" "Trust me," she said quietly. She crouched down, examining a cluster of bioluminescent fungi, and began to hum tunelessly. Every few seconds she glanced around, deliberately looking everywhere except where the cub was hiding. "Where'd you go?" she called out in a sing-song voice. "I could have sworn I saw something. Must have been the wind." On her HUD, the thermal signature shifted. The cub was moving, low and careful, repositioning itself to her left flank. Classic predator behavior: get to the blind spot, prepare for the pounce. Orla shifted her position slightly, turning her back to the new location. She picked up a fallen seed pod, turning it over in her gloved hands. "Strange planet," she mused aloud. "All alone out here, Nothing to play with, no clever little hunters to keep me on my toes. The cub moved again, closer this time. Orla could feel her heart rate climbing, but she kept her breathing steady. Daniel would be tracking everything, ready to fire if the situation deteriorated. "Still nothing," she announced. "Guess I'll head back inside. Shame, I brought some synthetic protein treats. Oh well." She stood, still not looking at the cub's location, and began to walk slowly back toward the station. That's when it pounced. The juvenile predator launched itself from the undergrowth with explosive speed. But instead of going for Orla's throat or legs, it landed directly in front of her, all 6 eyes fixed on her face. Orla stopped, smiled. "There you are." The cub's tail, a muscular appendage tipped with bone spurs, lashed back and forth. Not aggressive posturing, excitement. She'd seen this before with the first cub 3 weeks ago. These creatures weren't just hunting. They were testing, learning, playing. Slowly, Orla reached into her hip pouch and extracted a cube of synthesized meat protein. The cub's nostrils flared, scent receptors analyzing the offering. She tossed it gently to the side. The cub pounced on it, examining it with surprising delicacy. After a moment, it consumed the treat, then looked back at Orla expectantly. "One more," she said, pulling out another cube. This time she didn't throw it, she held it out. Daniel's voice was tight in her ear. "Orla, its claws are out. For balance, not attack, watch its posture." The cub approached, each step careful and measured. When it was close enough, it extended its neck and delicately took the treat from her gloved hand. Its jaws could have easily snapped through the reinforced polymer. Instead, it was gentle as a house cat. "Remarkable," Orla breathed. "Daniel, are you recording this?" "Every second. You're certifiably insane, but I'm recording." The cub sat back on its haunches, regarding her with those 6 intelligent eyes. Orla crouched down to its level. "You're not trying to kill me," she said softly. "You're trying to understand me, aren't you? Your parents hunt us because we're unknowns in their territory, but you're curious." She pulled out a small toy, a ball made of biodegradable polymer. She rolled it across the ground. The cub's head swiveled, tracking the movement. Then, with a burst of energy, it chased after it, pouncing and batting it between its paws. When it looked back at Orla, she could have sworn it was proud of itself. "Again?" she asked, retrieving the ball. This time she threw it farther. For the next 20 minutes, Orla played with one of the planet's apex predators like it was a puppy. Daniel eventually emerged from cover, keeping his distance but documenting everything. The cub showed wariness toward him but didn't flee. "Its neural architecture is incredible," Orla said, reviewing the bioscan data streaming to her HUD. "Cognitive capacity on par with Earth dolphins, maybe higher. These creatures aren't just predators, Daniel. They're problem solvers, tool users in the making. So when it grows up and comes back with Mom and Dad, then we'll have established a relationship based on mutual respect rather than fear." Orla stood, brushing violet pollen from her knees. First contact protocols aren't just for sapient species. Understanding shapes coexistence. The cub tilted its head, watching her with an expression she couldn't quite read. Then it turned and bounded back into the forest, pausing once to look back before vanishing into the undergrowth. "Same time next week," Orla called after it. Daniel shook his head, but he was smiling. "You know this is going into my report with about 17 safety violations flagged. And a recommendation for expanded behavioral studies, I hope." "That too." He glanced at the forest where the cub had disappeared. "You really think they can learn to coexist with us?" Orla looked up at the orange sun filtering through violet leaves. "We're the aliens here, Daniel. We're the ones who need to learn. That cub just taught us that intelligence and curiosity transcend species. It pretended to hunt me, and I pretended not to notice. We met in the middle. With treats and toys. The foundation of all great civilizations." She grinned. "Come on, I have data to analyze, and you have a report to file about how your charge survived another day of reckless xenobiology." As they walked back to the station, Orla glanced over her shoulder one last time. The forest was still, but she knew they were being watched, not with hunger, with curiosity. And curiosity, she thought, was humanity's greatest gift to the universe, and the universe's greatest gift to humanity.